My name is Anthony Hess, and this is the most action-packed Team Combat League. Today, we have the opportunity to talk with DC Destroyers head coach, Barry Hunter. Barry Hunter is the WBO 2007 Trainer of the Year. He's trained Olympic fighters and world-class champions alike, and he found the Headbangers Gym in Washington, D.C. Let's see how this world-class experience as a coach helped form the DC Destroyers. Let's talk camp. Coach Barry Hunter, how you doing?
I'm fine, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. We're kind of, towards the end of the season. What has been your expectation so far of the league?
Actually, it's been a whole lot better than I thought it would. When you starting something new, a lot of times it's all kinds of hips and valleys you got to go over and under and through. But for the most part, the concept, I'm all well on board with the concept, number one. Number two, I have to take my hat off to, Team Combat League, Ahmed, Mark, Belinda, everybody that's involved, Dr. Tracy, for making this thing fly, yourself, and all the rest of the guys, because you have a situation like this where you have fighters that were almost out of the game, the new fighters coming in the game. They give you, a chance to either get back to what it is you love doing or start anew. And it's constant for at least 12 to 16 weeks, and they get a salary to do so. You know what I mean? In a regular pro style of fighting, when you get that one check has to last you until the next time you're fighting. Some of the people don't fight for 3 months, 4, 6 months, 2 years, I like it. I like it a bunch.
And what was your initial reaction when you first heard the concept of the league?
Well, of course, like so many others, and some of them real good friends of mine that are legends in the game as far as coaching is concerned. I was just like them, and I was just like the fighters as well. It was new, it was different, and sometimes new and different is hard to, get people to buy into. It wasn't traditional boxing as we knew it to be, and so I really didn't think a whole lot of it, to be honest with you. The initial contact for me was through my wife. She spoke with Mark and Ahmed, and they called a few times, and there were a couple of times where, I wasn't interested at all, and until Mark said, would you just sit down and speak to me in person? I said, well, it's not gonna hurt nothing. Come on down. So he came down. I liked his energy. I liked the spirit. We talked about it. We had a chance to do another trial, and when I saw the trials, it was cool. It was a lot of action. And I was like, wow, I could do this. And so, once we did that, got some of the team, my own personal team on board. I had to go to the coaches and all, and we took flight with it, man. And I'm glad I did.
And I want to also touch on that. I understand that some of your team and your coaches, you train with them at your gym in Headbangers, and you've been coaching some of those kids, since they were, I'm not gonna say kids, but grown men, since they were young. What's that been experience for you, having essentially your family in the league with you? Oh
yeah, family is everything, and a lot of times we tend to forget that sometimes. And not only the fighters that you see, it's like about, I believe it's between 4 or 6 of them. A couple of them was born in the gym. Almost, the moms was pregnant when they would come to the fight, watching the dad fight. The dad, which is Patrice Boogie Harris, which was one of the kids at that time that I coached. He was about 19 years old. He's going on 51, so do the math. That's how long it was. And so yeah, most of the time when we travel over the years, and when he became a coach, we've been together ever since. And one of the fighters is his son, which is Patrick Harris.
And also, usually, in boxing, you have coachable moments, with your fighter in between rounds. You can tell them things that, they need to work on, tell them things that you've noticed. But in the league, it's like as soon as that round is over, someone else is coming in. So what has been the experience for you seeing coachable moments, but essentially having to start that process over, bringing in a new fighter?
Yeah, that's different because, like you said, you know, when you even when the kids first, well, when young men and women first start, you know, you get at least 4 rounds, you know, and in between those rounds, of course, you get your 1 minute and you're doing your thing. The good thing with having individuals that you train on a regular and every day, we're familiar with one another, you know, and actually sometimes I don't even have to say it verbally. I can look at them, they look at me, and I know they'll know exactly what I'm asking them to do. That's that connection, that family connection that you spoke about earlier. I don't have that same advantage with some of the ones that I'm just meeting that came through the tryouts, you know, they made the team. But what I do in the gym now, you know, a lot of times I'll scout whatever team it is that we're going to face, and kind of on instinct, you know, I match it up according to how I would like to see the matches. And a lot of times in playoff, I may be off about maybe 2, no more than 3 matches. But for the most part, the matches that we match up on paper, that I put down on paper, is how we ended up, the coaches and I end up, you know, doing it. And so I go over that, you know, I give the name to the fighter that I think they may end up fighting, and then we start watching the films on it.
Yeah. And let's dive just a little bit into that process. Do you all sit together, all the coaches sit together and, you know, decide who should fight who, or kind of, can you go deeper more into that process?
Sometime at the gym, you know, we may sit there and have the conversation. I let them know what I saw, and I let them know the matches that, you know, I would like to see the guys in, and I tell them whatever fighter that is, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, where he's consistent, where he's inconsistent, and I'll relay that to them. So we play off each other's hand. They already know our system. The fighters that we raised in the gym, and some of them, like I said, were infants or newborns, they pretty much know. Once we put them on that mission, they know exactly what to do from there. That's the easy part. Now you have some that just joined the team or made, like I said, through the tryouts. That's a little different. You know what I mean? Some of them don't have that same type of experience. They definitely didn't have the same time with us that, you know, the kids that we raised had. But nevertheless, they didn't, you know, kind of jumped on board, and I treat them the same way. I turn around, scout that individual's fighter, and then we'll go with something, be it in the gym, over the phone, at home. I have them pull a video up of that same opponent, and we'll go with it. You know what I mean? Paper.
And also, I understand that, you know, the team that you started off with might not be the team that you have today. What has it been like, you know, getting new fighters and kind of catching them up to the speed of the combat league and just the way you train?
There was a situation about a week ago, I believe, and we had called up a heavyweight and put him in. And of course, you think 1 round, 3 minutes a round, everybody instantly think, oh, I can do it, it's easy money, blah, blah, blah. And then when you get in there, it's a whole nother ball game. And that 1 round ended up being 12 rounds for him. And he felt like that, and he looked like he had been 12 and a half a round. I mean, so, you know, the main thing in his case was I applaud him for even taking it, you know, short notice the way he did. And he did what he needed to do. He survived. And that's all we needed him to do that night. And but for the most part, yeah, it is a shock when you first go in there. And a lot of these guys are veterans. Some of them fought on Showtime, fought for world titles, eliminated for the world title. And you get in there versus a kid that may only have 5 pro fights, 1 pro fight, no pro fights, and they're faring better than the veteran is because, you know, they're fresh out of the amateurs, so a lot of the amateurs throw a whole bunch of punches in a short span of time. The one that fought for world titles or competed for world titles, They used to go in the distance, fighting 8, 10, 12, 6 rounds. So it's a big difference, huge difference.
And I've been hearing that a lot today, just like, a lot of the younger guys are, doing really good in the league just because, like you said, they're coming right out of the amateurs. They're used to, throwing those punches. And what qualities would you say a fighter would need to be successful in the league?
I think you definitely need to be physically in shape. You definitely need to be mentally prepared. And you have to, it's crucial that you have good cardio. Crucial. Because your fill-out rounds in a 12-round fight may take you 3 or 4 rounds to, fill this guy out and then turn up from there. Your fill-out round in this is between 15 and 25 seconds. That's it. And then you got to figure it out in that short span of time. And to your point, there's no come back to the corner, get instructions, and go back for a second round. No, you have to get it right then and there, make that adjustment, and fly.
Mm-hmm. And also, Coach, one of my favorite things about the league is that it's the best fighting the best.
Yes.
Nowadays in boxing, they like to say, this fighter is ducking this fighter. But in the league, you can't do that at all.
That's right.
What has that competitive nature, what kind of motivation has that brought to your camp?
Well, like I said, we pride ourselves on being ready, staying ready, so we don't have to get ready. Because you never know what's going to happen. You may be just sitting idly by and get a phone call one day, and boom, you've been bumped up to number 2. You're ready to fight for eliminator for the world title. And so, it would be terrible to get that call against an opponent that you're more than capable of beating, but you're not ready. You know what I mean? And so we train every day. Because we always preparing ourselves for that call, just in case it happened. If you are in this business, there's no excuse for you to be, if I'm fighting 47, you 30 pounds heavier than your fight weight. Now, once I get that call, and say if they gave me like 5 weeks, people don't realize that just you're supposed to only lose maybe max 2 pounds per week of mass. Anything more than that, a lot of times not mass, is water. And what you need, your brain, your muscles, nothing to fire the way it's supposed to be once you deplete your body of water. And so that's never a good thing. And you got, guys of old that'll lose per day 4 and 5 pounds, but it's not mass, it's water. Your electrolytes, your potassium, your salt, it's everything that you need for your body to function, your mind to function like it's supposed to. And so if you're in this, and they give you a weight allowance, there's no excuse, none.
And another thing that separates the league from just professional boxing in general is the rematches. In professional boxing, sometimes it might take you a while to, face that guy again and get that rematch. But in the league, you might face them, within the same month. You're definitely going to see that person again. How has that notion motivated your fighters to, get back any rounds or any fights that you guys might have lost?
A lot of times, if you, although it's a team sport and a team concept, nobody likes to lose or be told that they didn't win that round. So for a lot of guys to face an opponent and or the team that you either lost to or you lost a round to, that's motivation enough. When you get comfortable with a loss as an individual, as a team, you already are a loser. You know what I mean? No winner that I know of is all right with a loss. You can deal with it, but once you may accept the fact that I did lose, I can be better next time, but when you are okay with that, that's a problem.
And you've been trusted, with all your years of experience at a world-class level in professional boxing, you've been trusted to, teach this team and guide this team. But what have some of the things that you've learned from, coaching this team in the league?
Well, of course, more patient, and understand that the fighters that I work with, when you think of some of the legendary fighters that I've worked with, ex-world champions, current world champions, you get used to that, and these guys in this league are not quite there yet. And the reality is some will never be. So you have to be patient with that, number one. Number two, the expectations, my expectations are always high. Whomever I, get involved with or deal with when it comes to boxing, but you have to be realistic as well. You know what I mean? And so I try to tap into that individual. I cannot train you if I don't really know who you are, if I don't know your strengths, your weaknesses, or your habits. You know what I mean? So I try to get that out the way first. And once I know, what could possibly make you special, tap into that, then I feel like I can work with almost anybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, previously in our conversation, we touched on how, the Combat League has like a lot of young fighters, a lot of fighters, making another run for the title and just whatever weight class they're in. How could the Combat League help these fighters in their future careers?
The exposure, you know what I mean? For an example, I was about 2 weeks ago, Sean Porter, which is, like a nephew, and his dad like a brother, came down, and we went out, we hung out, we went to lunch, the whole nine, and that was, I think, maybe the second time that I've seen him since we had that fight against Terrence Crawford. And so we hung out, we had a great day, and then I had to leave him and go and cross the water and go to D.C. We were in Maryland, by the way. Cross over to go to D.C. for a festival that we had. And the people that saw me, some I knew, some I didn't know, and I was speaking with them, they were speaking with me. They didn't ask about a Sean Porter. They didn't ask about a Javante or none of the guys, high-profile fighters that we work with. They asked about Team Combat League, and they were really into it. So it let me know right then and there that a lot of people were tuning in. So the platform for, fighters that maybe they forgot about, fighters that are just coming in. A fighter like the youngster that we had in Quincy Williams and Derek Davis and Nasheed Smith, Patrick Harris, people that are somebody in this game are seeing these guys, looking at them, talking about them, and so I know, we've already started getting calls and we're gonna get a lot more calls. But nevertheless, a platform like this is tremendous for these young guys.
Mm-hmm. Now, last question for you, Coach. Using all the experience that you do have in boxing, in your opinion, how could the Team Combat League revolutionize the sport?
I mean, listen, I'm a boxing fan first. I've had the pleasure of working with, seeing, dealing with a whole lot of high-profile fighters, high-power promoters, the who's who in boxing. And even me as a fan, sometimes watching boxing is like watching paint dry. You know it and I know it. Based on what you said earlier, because of the matchups or lack thereof. This way you see some of the most even matched fighters, some of the top amateurs. Some of them, we had one that fought and won the gold medal in the Pan Am Games versus Cuba. That's been a long time since that happened. And some of the ones that I know for the other teams, Mike Hunter was one that was on the U.S. team, Olympian, that I coached in the amateurs. His brother was a rising star, and I hadn't seen him keep fighting a long time. First time I seen him keep fighting a while was Team Combat League. Pete Dobson, another undefeated fighter, that we know. There's a Cuban kid from Dallas, that I like. Two of them now. One of them was in the gym with us years ago, Isaac. So we got a lot of talent, man. Young man from Atlanta, Dawson, him and Dirk Davis fought in the amateurs in the national. So, and these guys can roll, man. You know what I mean? And some of these guys will be part of the future of boxing. And I definitely think that if enough people that are somebody in the sport of boxing get involved. You've seen team combat competition. I've seen it. A whole lot of other people see it, and it's exciting. You know what I mean? And I think you could be looking at part of the evolution of boxing.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
Thank you, Coach.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.